and welcome to another episode of the Trans 101 series. Today we are going to be talking about hormone blockers. So hormone blockers is actually a nickname that we use in the trans community to refer to GnRH, which are gonadotropin release hormones. Yes, I had to look at my paper, it's a complicated word. So basically, hormone blockers will block the hormones that the body already produces. So if you were born with ovaries and your body naturally produces estrogen, the hormone blockers will block that. If you were born with a penis and testicles, the hormone blockers will block the testosterone that those produce. So hormone blockers are used usually for trans kids, okay? And that's like a really basic way of talking about it, but it's used to suppress the hormones that the body produces naturally in order to wait and to pause puberty. So this is a really good thing if a trans kid comes out at, let's say, 11 years old and is like, I'm trans, I want to transition, I would like to go on hormones later on. And the parent isn't sure, like, this is a phase, I don't think trans people are real. Well, hormone blockers are a really great thing in this aspect because when you're taking hormone blockers at that age, you're literally pausing puberty, which means that all of the changes of puberty that you don't want to happen because you don't want either to develop breasts and you don't want to start your period and all of these things because those are highly dysphoria inducing because you identify as male and you know yourself as male and you don't want to go through this puberty that you're mentally not supposed to go through. Well, going on hormone blockers will literally pause all of that from happening. So hormone blockers aren't new. They've actually been used since 1971 and they're usually used for precocious puberty. So when puberty starts way early on, so if somebody's like 8 or 9 and starts puberty, they're going to repress the hormones in the body so that puberty doesn't happen because that's too young to start puberty. And I'm talking about like non-trans kids right now. So if a kid starts to have puberty at like 8 or 9 and that's way too early, they usually take hormone blockers in order to stop the puberty. They literally pause it, and then the second that you're old enough that your puberty that you're supposed to have at that age starts, you can take yourself off of hormone blockers, and it's as if you were never off or on or anything like that. It just kind of starts on where you left off. And this is why it is a great option for trans kids and especially for parents who are maybe unsure and don't really understand all of this. Starting on hormone blockers, there are no negative effects. You're literally pressing the pause button on puberty and it gives everyone around, and by that I mean like you and your kid and all these people around you, some time to think. And you can see usually the kids are a lot happier because they know that they're not going to get the puberty that they were supposed to have in their body that was built into them, and instead they're able to pause and they know that eventually they'll be able to get the puberty that they're supposed to have mentally. So if your kid comes out at 4 years old, you don't put them on hormone blockers. No. So hormone blockers are usually given if you're at a young age when you're at a specific stage of puberty. So puberty has 5 stages, and as an adult, we're at stage 5. We're at the final stage. 1 is no puberty at all. 2 is the first signs of puberty. All right, and that's like breast buds starting developing, stuff like that. That is when you start hormone blockers because before then there are no hormones to repress. They're not there. So when you start stage 2, that's when the hormones are starting. You need to start blocking them so that those breast buds don't turn into breast and you don't start menstruating and all of those little aspects of puberty that start. So you don't stay on hormone blockers forever, okay? If you came out at 10 years old and then at 11 they started you on hormone blockers, the Endocrine Society, which is the medical establishment for endocrinology, recommends that you start hormones at 16 years old. Now this isn't for everyone, all right, because everybody's body is different. Now there are 2 reasons why you wouldn't start at 16. 1 is if you started puberty way early and they put you on hormone blockers when you were like 8, and then you have to wait until you're 16 until you start testosterone or estrogen. All of that middle time is it's a long period of time to not have any hormones in your body, and not having hormones in your body and repressing those hormones can cause osteoporosis and other types of bone density issues. So in that instance, you would actually start hormones way earlier in the person's life because they started hormone blockers a lot earlier than normally. So the second incident is a little more complicated, where if a person's puberty only happened way later on, so if the person is 16 or 17 and is now only starting to have signs of puberty, first you need to test out the endocrine system and see if there's anything, the reason why that happened, and if there is something wrong or anything like that. But usually if there is nothing wrong and it's just a delayed puberty, then you would start the person on hormones right away, so that when they enter their last year of high school or they enter college, they don't look like an 11-year-old. Because when you don't have puberty and you don't have any hormones, your face kind of stays an infant, like you look like a child. So you don't want to go into university looking very young and very immature. So that's why they would usually skip the whole hormone blocker and just start you directly on hormones, because your testosterone or your estrogen only kicked in way later on in life. Later on in life, I mean like later on in your teens. So do you have to stay on hormone blockers forever? Well, no you don't. So basically what I'm focusing on right now is transgender children and teens who have either not had puberty yet or have just started puberty. Those are really the main people that you would start on hormone blockers. But later on, you can also go on hormone blockers if there is something going on with any of your reproductive organs and something is happening. So I'm being very vague, but I'm gonna give you an example of me. I have been on hormones for over 7 years, and I am also on hormone blockers. I've been on hormone blockers for 4 months, and the reason for that is because I had bleeding. Not every month, but every couple of months I was bleeding, as if it was like a menstrual cycle, but not really. And that's not supposed to happen when you're on hormones. So I am now on hormone blockers to suppress the estrogen that my ovaries are producing, because they're producing a lot of estrogen. The testosterone that I'm taking in my body is not repressing it enough, so I need something additional to help me. So that's why I'm taking hormone blockers at the same time. So just to recap really quickly, this is a very, very good and safe option for the trans child or the trans teen that has just come out. It is also a very good and safe thing for the parent who might be questioning or really unsure or maybe doesn't believe their child, because at least this way you're able to pause puberty. There is a lot of emotional distress when a trans child or a trans teen starts puberty. Trans teen, obviously puberty teen, starts puberty because they know that the things that are happening to their body, they're not supposed to have, because they know that they are not that gender. So it is very hard emotionally, and to be able to pause it and say, hey, you're not gonna have that puberty just yet. All right, we're gonna just figure some things out, and if later on you want to go off of hormone blockers and have puberty, the puberty that you were supposed to be, like the puberty that you were born with, the natal puberty, natal puberty is the better term to use, then that's what's gonna happen. But if everybody's on board and everybody understands, yes, my kid is trans and I understand that they need hormones as well, then you would stay on the hormone blockers, and then you would slowly start on a small dose of hormone replacement therapy later on in your teens. So even if you're unsupportive and you don't understand and you're saying, my kid isn't trans, I don't understand this, please look into hormone blockers. It is literally a pause button. There is nothing wrong with it. The only issue that is associated with hormone blockers is if you're taking it for years and years and years without any other hormone replacement in there, then you have issues with bone density and bone loss. But other than that, the other only side effects are if you've already had puberty before and you are now taking hormone blockers and now you have no more puberty. Then some stuff is gonna happen in your body because it's used to already having puberty. But if you're gonna start testosterone and hormone replacement therapy in there, then it's better. Hopefully this was informational for families, for friends, for allies, and for trans people who are looking into hormone blockers. It is a very, very good thing to look into hormone blockers, because especially for trans kids and trans teens, it is a lifesaver, because the puberty that I have met so many trans kids who are 9 and 10 and who just are so scared that puberty is gonna happen because they don't want that puberty to happen. So being able to go on hormone blockers and puberty blockers and just kind of suppress all of that is fantastic, because then you'll see a change in your child, honestly. Your child is usually more happy. And there has been research on this. I will actually put all the links that I have in the description below. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you for another episode later on. Have a great day. Bye.